All right, YouTube. We got a banger for you all today. This is gonna be the official how to play tutorial for Risk Europe. Listen to that music. You cannot be anything but hyped for this. We are gonna show you how to play the game today. We have some tutorials on YouTube. They're a little outdated, and we're just gonna do an all-in-one how to play guide. And I hope you love this. I hope you love this, YouTube. All right, here we go. We are gonna get right into the action here. I got my game up. I've been loaded in for like 7 turns now just to get some gold so I can show you how everything is done. First up, that I'm sure all of you care the most about. When you're playing Risk, you want to know how to win. What's my winning conditions? How can I be the best Risk player possible? There's 2 ways to win in this game, alright? Normally you're going to be playing with a bunch of people, and all of them, there's snakes, there's rats, there's backstabbers, there's role players. You never know what kind of personality is sitting on the other end of the screen, right? So to win, you have to dominate your opponents. You can do that diplomatically. You can do it by being the biggest rat or the biggest snake. Or you can just do it with sheer willpower and strength. If you capture 130 cities, so this C right here stands for cities, if you capture 130 and hold it by the end of a turn, it's an automatic win for you. The other way you can win is if everyone else just forfeits. If everyone just forfeits and they bow out of the game and you're the last one standing, you win. We're going to go through some very basic things real quick here. So at the top, you have your gold. This is how much you can spend in your barracks. So you'll see here, I'm blue. I'm the gold color that's highlighted on here. So if there's like 12, 16 people, you look here. Whatever gold one is, that one's yours. And also, you'll see there's a little green highlight under my barracks that I click. So you'll see here, I'm blue. So I have 32 gold to spend on units. And I can also build from ports. So there's ports and barracks in this game, all right? Going across the top here, we have the timer countdown. So you'll see it's every 60 seconds. The new timer sets. And whatever income you have at the end of the turn is what you'll end up getting added to your gold right here. Then the other thing you'll see is this. This is the total turn timer. So every turn is 60 seconds, and this is going to go up now. So this is counting down to the next turn. This is going to count up until the game ends. You might have a quick game, 20 turns. You might have a long game, 200 turns. Who knows? Depends on the players that you're playing against. Some more info that you're going to want to see here. You'll have players, and players are always hidden. You do not know who your opponents are until you completely conquer them and they have no cities left, or until they forfeit, and then you can see the name of your opponents. This really helps make sure that people can't pre-team, and although that does still happen sometimes, this definitely helps so that people don't target certain players that they may not like. And yeah, so hidden colors right here, you could have up to 23 players in a lobby. Ink stands for income. So this is how much income each person's getting. C stands for cities. That's how many cities they control. If you own, right here, you can see at the very top, if you own 130, so I have 20 out of 130. If you own 130 before the timer ends, you win the game outright, no matter how many people are left. The K stands for kills, and the D stands for deaths. So, all right, you got the winning conditions. You know you want to win this game. You want to go into a free-for-all lobby. You want to dominate and smash your opponents. How do you do that? Well, guess what? In order to win, you're going to need gold, and you are going to need lots and lots of gold. So, how do you get gold? How do you get more income in this game? There's 2 ways to go about doing this, okay? So the very first way that you get gold is the most common way here. So you'll make some units. You got these unit guys here, and you're just gonna attack a city. So you'll see here my units are attacking. Now, why am I doing this? Well, look at that. Siberia has been conquered. So that's the very first thing to learn in this game, is it plays out just like Risk. You get income for the countries that you own. I did not own both cities in this country, therefore I was not getting income here. Now that I own both cities, I'm going to get income, and you're going to see the end of the turn timer comes up, boom, 6 income. Now, you might be asking, why 6 income? Well, this is why. It's because this has 2 cities. So for each country that you own, you get the number or you get the income based on the number of cities. So this was a 2-city country, I get +2 to my income. And if we go down here, this is a 3-city country. So I'll make some units here. I'll have these guys take them. And guess what? If you do 6 plus 3, it's going to be 9, right? So by the next turn, you'll see I should have 9 income. Another thing that you can, another way to get money in this game is the bounty system. Now, it sounds complicated, but it's really not. So how bounties work is that you get 25% of the value of every unit that you kill. So you'll see here a rifleman's worth 1. So once I kill 4 riflemen, I get 1 gold. And so it really promotes being active on the map and killing and getting lots of kills here. And yeah, you'll see, like I said, you get 9 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you start with 4. So 5 plus 4 is 9. Just basic math there, right? So for the bounty system, you get 25% of the value of the units that you kill, and on top of that, there's kill bonuses. So once you start racking up kills here, I think it's every 200 or so kills, you actually get a lump sum of just an additional bonus. I think it starts at 10 gold and it slowly works its way up. And if I'm wrong, someone just comment down below and just let me know I'm wrong here. So we're gonna see the bounty system in play here. I have 3 kills, right? Now we're gonna attack this base. You see, I have 37 gold. The turn timer isn't gonna start by the time I get to this base, right? But look at that. See how I have 38? That's because 25% of 4 is 1. So again, more basic math. But that's how you get income. That's how you get gold in this game. Now, in order to get more income, in order to get more gold, you need more countries. So that comes down to expansion. And what you need to do when you're expanding is you usually want to expand in certain regions. You'll see right now, I have a country here, I have a country here, I have a country here. If I'm in a free-for-all lobby, I could just get wrecked. Someone who's in Russia is going to want Siberia, and I'm going to have to pick and choose where to defend. I can't defend all 3 places at once. So typically, you want to start the game off just getting as much income as you can from whatever easy countries you can get, and then you want to pick a spot, and you really want to heavy focus on that spot and start expanding. So typical expansion paths in this game. Most people, if you're going somewhere down here, you'll try to get Africa, and then you'll work your way up. You'll go through Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, and see, if you followed my mouse cursor right here, this whole western part of Europe is great. This is usually like when you're at like a very strong situation, a strong position in the game, if you have all of this. Alternatively, people really like going Mideast. So in the Mideast, you could go all the way from here, Libya, Egypt, all the way up to these countries that I own, Turkey. You can take these, you can get some of these, and then you kind of have this little area. Now you might be asking, like, why are these areas important on the map? Well, the reason for that is because your land is consolidated and it becomes really difficult for people to push you. You'll see, like, let's say I have Mace, Albania, Bulgaria. If people want to push from up here, they have to push down into a choke. They have to run into my cities. One thing I forgot to mention, so these cities, they actually fire. You probably did see, but they do quite a bit of damage, right? So it's a really good defensive bonus. Like, this guy's gonna die, right? He takes like 6 shots and boom, he's dead. So it's a really good defensive bonus when you have these towers firing on your opponents as they push. You also have tree lines here. You also can build ships while your opponent in the Central Europe wouldn't be able to build ships here. For naval purposes, you have these 3 bases, and you can kind of have a choke point so people can't just run past you. And then for these, like, it's really hard to push into this again because you have these choke points here, and you can also just fall back to these bases if needed. So while you're consolidating these zones on the map, you're doing that to really protect your empire. So I can't just have, someone's not just going to randomly snipe Jordan off of me, because in order to do that, they have to get through a very tough choke point. So that's what you want to think about when you're expanding on the map. You want to consolidate your lands, you want to grow, you want to get bigger income. Usually if you have higher income, you have a better advantage over your opponents, right? These are the 2 strongest positions probably on the map. Another very strong position is taking islands. Now, the reason why islands can be so effective is because you can then focus strictly on navy. So you can build ship units, right? And these ship units will be able to defend your lands. And then if people are on land over here, like, they have to decide, is it worth going all navy and investing all into navy to conquer this when I'm leaving myself vulnerable on land? So that's just some things to think about. One last point of note, you might actually see, oh, how do I have all these units and what's this little circle right here? Well, this is actually spawns. So this is another advantage of conquering more countries. You'll see I have spawns here, I have spawns here, I have spawns here. So I didn't actually build these units. I get those at the end of every single turn. And the reason for that is because I have the country. And this is just extra units that you can then use to continue your expansion. So good players will make sure to utilize their spawns because it's just free gold that you're able to use to expand. The other thing that I'll say real quick is so you can have these spawns and you'll see that there's these little spawn point things. So this will let you set your spawns. So if you don't want your spawns to always just be right here and you have to go and click on them, you can just click on one of these guys. So like this will select all my spawns in a radius, or I can literally just click on the one that I want and I can just right click it, or I should have used the newer version. Rookie mistake on my end. It's actually left click in the newer version. But again, it's just to show that you can set where your spawns go, and so your spawns will go to a certain area. Now you'll notice I didn't get any spawns that turn, and that's because it maxes out. I don't know the exact number. I think you get spawns for 4 or 5 turns, and then it maxes out. Now, if these spawns all die, my spawns will start respawning here. So you get a certain number for each country. And how the spawns works is it's always the city count minus 1. So I have 2 cities here, so I get 1 person here each time. I have 3 cities here, so I get 2 people here each time. And that's just I think actually with Germany, like you only get 3. Norway, I think you might get 4, so there is some variation there. Again, I'm just giving you like a rough idea how they work. Sorry for any misinformation. I'm not trying to mislead you, just trying to do my best to help here. So I kind of covered expansions, utilizing spawns, typical expansion pass, how you want to position yourself on the map. But eventually, every single game, you're going to finally run into a person who is going to oppose you. Your expansion is going to be opposite of their expansion. You guys are going to come across paths. Let's say I'm going Mideast here, right? I'm trying to get the Mideast, and we have someone in Egypt, and they also have Libya. Well, guess what? They're going to want to keep expanding Mideast most likely, right? So what do you do here? You have a couple options. And they all fall under the bucket of diplomacy here. So in the game, you can chat. You can chat to everyone. Peace Red, like I can just say, and the chat doesn't actually show up because I'm playing a computer right now, but in the game, it will show up, it will say Peace Red. Red can see, hey, I'm asking for peace, right? Like, so you can do chat diplomacy. You can try to team. You can try to get people on your team. You can try to manipulate people. You can truce people or peace with people. Maybe it's just like, hey, Red, like, let's not kill each other over the Mideast. Let's just have peace right now. And then you can be like, you go west, I'll go north. And see if that works. The game is so open. There are no rules. That's the biggest thing and the coolest thing about this game. There are no rules. You can do anything. You can be a snake. You can be honorable. You can be a role player. You can just have fun. It's an open sandbox map, and even if you're not trying to win, if you're just trying to enjoy the game and the drama, that's what lots of people are in this Risk community for. It's all about the drama, the backstabbing, the intrigue, and you can be one of those players contributing to all that. The other thing, the last thing that you can do is just declare war on people. Now, when I say declare war, there is no formal declaring war. You literally can attack a person at any time. If you want to be honorable and say, Red, we're going to fight next turn, you can do that. But guess what? You're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You're letting your opponent know that you're coming for them, right? So you can attack them at any time. You don't have to say, hey, we're having war. There's no ally thing up here. You can't just like ally someone and just like, so you can just hit them at any time. And that whole process goes on until the end of the game. So people are expanding, they're conquering countries, they're running into each other, they're doing diplomacy, and then until someone wins, until someone gets 130 cities or everyone else but one person forfeits, the game will just continue on. Now, I am going to go through some advanced tips here. I want to show just some, like, not even really advanced, there's just some fundamentals, I would say, that like maybe a casual gamer wouldn't really know to do, okay? So when you're clicking on a barracks or a port, you can actually hover over all of these, right? So it goes through a lot of stats. It will show you how much gold it costs. It will show you the DPS, the range, the hit points. Honestly, you're going to get a feel for all these units and what they do and don't do just by playing the game. But you'll also see, like, when you click on these units, you have these things come up, right? So you have a stop movement, so I can hit S and my guys will stop. You have a hold position, so no matter what, these guys will not move position. So they could get attacked, enemies could be right here, they will just stand there, and they'll fire back if they can, but if not, they'll just stand there and take it. Then you have A clicking, which is an attack move. So what this means, if I hit this button and go here, they're going to just continue running until they run across an enemy, and then look, they're going to engage with that enemy. Now you'll see all of those have a little hotkey next to them. So I don't actually have to hit S to stop, right? I don't have to hit this to stop. I can just hit S. And look, on my keyboard, my guys are stopping because I'm just spamming S, right? The same thing with the hold position. I can just hit hold, boom, just like that. And the same with the attack. I can just hit A, and look, they'll just run in. I just have to do that, and then I don't even have to look back. I know, okay, these guys are going into attack. Another useful one here, so with mortars can actually cut down trees. And so you'll see attack ground is G, right? So if I just hit G on my keyboard, he's going to fire, and he'll start cutting down some trees. Now, some other cool things that you can do here. So there is something in the early game that you need to know that a lot of players will use to their advantage, and that's how to one-man a country. So what I mean by that is normally if I was to attack this, it's going to take about 3 to 4 guys to guarantee that I get this base, right? But what you can actually do with a little bit of maneuvering and with some of these hotkeys, right? I'm just going to slowly click my guy up here, and I'm hitting H, right? And look at this. See, my Marine is hitting him now, and he's not in range of the city, right? So this gives me a huge advantage because I can take a country with just one person, which then frees up me being able to take more countries around the map here. So another one, this one's a little bit more advanced, but like I can make a country here. You can see, look, I didn't have to look, and Crimea is mine now, right? Now that only works with Marines where you don't have to swap, and I'll talk about swapping here in a second. But this is a perfect example. So we engaged here. Now typically you're gonna lose this fight. This defender rifle will usually get the first shot off, and so this person will die unless I swap them. But this is where the next tip comes into play. So I'm gonna move this guy back, and now there's something here at the very bottom right called Swap Defender. So I just have to hit V, you can see the hotkey for it's V, and I can target my unit, and guess what it just did? It just swapped my defender. So it now, the full health unit that was here, is now able to go down here, and I can take this base, and again, I had only to use 1 gold invested in here, and I was able to get this. So that really will let you work your way around the map. I can do it in many different places. Usually it's best when you're under other bases. Like you can see right here though, like you can sneak your way. You just have to be just outside the range of the tower. The tower has a radius around it. So usually positioning yourself, if you look at this door right here on the tower, positioning yourself in this area, in like a little arc, this area from the tower, that's usually going to be your safe point. But I'll just do this one more time. I go here, I hit V, I click my unit, I'm going to bring him around just like this, and guess what? I'm just going to hit H. That's the hold position, and that makes him stop right there, and then this guy gets dragged out of the tower range, and look, I capture that with 1 gold. So that's really useful early game. Once you get to more late game, microing like this isn't as worth your time. You're better off, especially when, like, let's say you have lots of units like this, you're better off, instead of spending your time microing, you're better off just like A-clicking in and just like, look, I can just like A-click 2 different sets of units, and now I can start trying to conquer Egypt, and I can start trying to conquer Jordan, okay? So that's how you're going to be better off once you have more units. But for those first couple of rounds, doing what we were doing in Georgia and Serbia and Crimea, like that's going to be very beneficial. One other thing that you can do is you can hold, like when you have all your units selected, you can actually shift click and have them perform actions in a row. So if I hit shift and I click here and here, so I shift and then right click, my units will run here first, and then they'll run here first. So this is another really cool way. If we do shift and we do one of the other moves that we showed you, we do the A move, you'll see I can actually hit attack here, hold the shift button, hit the A button for the attack move, and then left click here. Now watch what's going to happen. This is so clutch later on in the game because I can be over here focused on this, right? La 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 la. I'm doing stuff over here. But guess what? At the same time, these units, I only had to do 1 order over here, and I don't have to look back. I know they're going to conquer this city, and I know they're going to go conquer this city. So you can do quick orders there, and that allows me to be expanding on the map while also looking somewhere else. That's just another cool thing that you can do in this game. Something else that sometimes comes in handy. So there are certain one-man situations that you can actually do something called spam swapping. So I showed you what I showed you what a swap is, right? It's just this. Now spam swapping is when you just spam that action. So you click on a barracks, you hit V, and then you click, okay? And you do that, you can see you're doing it super fast. Now the reason why you do that is because there's a little cooldown time between each rifle's shooting mechanic, and while spam swapping, this guy's reloading while this guy's shooting, and then I swap, and now this guy already has a bullet ready, and so this allows you to take bases quicker. That's a super advanced thing that you don't have to worry about, but just trying to give all the tips possible in this game here. And you can see my little mortar, he had been working on these trees, he's already cut some. Let's give him another task. We'll clear out these 2 trees here. Another thing to keep in mind is unit composition. So we'll go over units real quick. It's kind of got a rock, paper, scissors component to this game, okay? So I'll make these units here and kind of show you what they look like. So we have our basic riflemen. We already created those. We have healers, okay? So these guys, you can see this bottom, that's their health at the top, and this bottom is their mana. So mana is just how often will they heal your friendly units, right? So I'll actually show you what this looks like. I'll attack my own unit here. And my healer is going to run, and look, he's actually healing him. So healers are super effective, especially once you start getting bigger armies, because they allow your units to take more damage. Another unit that you can make are the mortars, which we showed you. These guys are really good. These guys would be what we call backline. So typically how you'll want it set up is you would want a bunch of infantry in the front line lined up, and then you'd want your mortars in the back line. And the reason for that is because you'll see mortars here have a range of 900, while rifles have a range of 400. So that means that you can have a full line of infantry all right here, right? And then you can have mortars all the way back here. And the mortars can be hitting the opponent's rifles while your rifles are also hitting them. So it gives you 2 lines of things hitting that opponent, while that opponent, if they don't have the same composition, they're only hitting you with rifles, right? So that gives you a huge advantage. This is called a roar unit. So this is a really special unit. Usually you only want a couple of them per army that you have. And this unit has a boost, whatever you want to call it, and it's called roar. So we just call these guys roars, right? And what a roar does is, you can read it, it grants 25% damage bonus to all nearby allies. So if I hit R, that's the hotkey for roar, you'll now see how these units have like a little glow to them, and if I click on one of them, you'll see status. Oh, this unit has been roared. All these units will do 25% more damage now. So this is a huge boost. The other cool thing that you can do with this is when you have Dispel, so you need 60 mana, so you'll see I almost have 60 mana. You can do this on an enemy unit, right? And you can go and dispel, it won't work on your people, but you can go and dispel an enemy who is using roars. So let's say like I have all these roared, if someone dispels it, it gets rid of the roar buff. So there's kind of a little back and forth play that can happen with these roar units between opponents. Then you have knights. Knights are really good at just going in and rushing in. They have this thing, Frenzy, which you can read, it increases their movement speed and their attack rate. So this is actually pretty clutch for knights. You want to make sure that you're using it. But you can actually see, look, they do quite a bit more damage than a rifle. So he kills it in just almost 4 hits, right? Whereas a rifle trying to kill a rifle, oh, we have a healer here. Let's get him out of the action. Like you can see, look, this rifle is going to take way more than 4 hits to kill this guy. So knights have quite a bit of attack bonus here. Generals are just another version of a knight, but stronger. So you'll see, look at their damage, up to 65, where the knight's 47. They have a lot more health, and they also have the roar mechanic. So they also are able to do what roars do. And he can actually go around, whoops, I actually used Frenzy, I'm so sorry. But he can actually go around and he can roar units just like a roar can. Then I really love these guys. These are probably my favorite. Some people will call them meat wagons. They're artillery in the game of Risk, and artillery are awesome at shredding lines of infantry. You can see they have 1,000 range. They do damage wise, they are at 68. Mortars are at 30. So you can see like this is like so much, and they have splash damage. So if units are by each other, they actually splash those units, which is so cool. And the really cool thing is, if you put these in the back line, you can kind of have a mixture of mortars, artillery. You can have some healers in the middle, and then you can have infantry in the front line, and then you can do some flanking with the cavalry maneuvers, and that's just a really cool combination to do. And then the last one, some people's favorites in this entire game is the tank. This tank is a beef. Look at this, 1700 HP. The infantry only have 200. This thing also has armor on it, so it takes less damage from certain things. It does a bunch of damage, and once you get a mass of these guys, it's just, it's a GG. Not always, but it is a very fun moment to use a bunch of tanks here. And then, so you also have ports. So you have Marines, which are a little bit stronger versions of infantry, but they have a little bit less range. You have Marine Majors, which this is basically just the Marine version of a Knight. The same thing with here. You have a Marine General, which is the Marine version of a General. I've actually never used Berserk mode before, which is hilarious, but this does 60% faster, so I'm learning something new here as well. And then you have some other cool units. So you have a Transport. So a Transport, you can just put your units. I just left-click my units, group them up, and then right-click into the boat, and look at that. And then you can see, you can hit this button that says Unload All, but I would recommend just using your keyboard. You can hit U and then left-click, and it will just drop them off right here. And look at that, we take the city. The other cool thing is that you can make an armored transport. So the difference between the transport and armored transport, they carry the same amount of people, but the armored transport, actually, hold on, let's unload these guys real quick. You can see it has 30 armor. So when my tower, or like when a tower attacks it, like I'll actually show you the difference here. We'll throw an armored transport up here, it's getting hit, right? It's taking damage, I could lose all the people inside, oh no, oh no. Now watch this, that took a lot of hits, and it's still alive. Now watch this guy. Oh, see, he's getting shredded. He's already on fire. He tries to escape. Oh, he dies. So see, the armored transport is better for like high value units that you may want to transport, but it is a lot more expensive. It costs 6 gold versus the 2 gold. Usually you'll only use this in games if you're trying to, for some reason, transport very high value units like tanks or artillery. You can also see, I forgot to do the units here, but mortars or infantry are 1, healers are 2, mortars are 3, roars are 4, knights are 5, generals are 10, artillery is 15, and tanks are a whopping 25. Now let's get to some cool things here. We have ships. So you have warships A, B, and then SS. I call them, yeah, B ships, SS ships, and then A ships. So these little guys, these are just the little boats. These are kind of strong early game and actually can be used pretty effectively early game, but usually after around turn 5, you won't see these guys at all. Look how much they take damage really quickly, almost like a transport, and they just get sunk so fast, right? You have these guys, the B ships. Now, the cool thing about these ships are that their shots cannot be dodged, and these are fast. So if you're trying to like chase down an enemy ship that's weak, making 1 or 2 of these to chase it down, you'll almost guarantee that you'll be able to catch it and take it down. And then you have the most controversial unit in all of Risk. You either love it or you despise it, and it's the SS. This SS is a beast. It is super tanky. It does so much damage. For ship cost, by the way, the A costs 5, the B costs 20, and this SS costs 45. The cool thing with this guy is it one-shots infantry units. If you get them on the coast, it will actually shoot at infantry and one-shot them, and it just takes a lot to kill an SS. SS are super strong in this game. They can just go around the map, take a bunch of damage. If anything that's on the coast is basically in trouble. Oh, look, our little friend here has been cutting these trees this whole time. I'm just going to hit G, and he's just going to keep ground attacking some more trees up here. So yeah, the SS, you have big SS fights sometimes, and some people, they will just try to play only in the landlocked area so they don't have to worry about Navy at all. So tips for unit composition. I've actually got this from Soxu, and Soxu is one of the best players, if not the best player in all of Risk. He is so consistently good in all the Risk FFA tournaments and 1v1s, and it's just awesome watching him play. And he has given me like an ideal army composition, okay? So usually what you're going to want is, if you're going to, for every 6 to 7 rifles that you have, you're going to want to have 1 healer. So that means that this healer should be able to heal and help with all these riflemen, and should be able, once it has full mana, to just try to help keep these guys alive for as long as possible. On top of that, let's say you have a full line of troops, okay? So we're actually going to go formation status over here. We're going to get these guys kind of set up, all right? So we're going to act like we're about ready to attack red. That's red. He's got an army, and we want to kill him. Normally, you would never, ever in Risk individually do formation like this because they're just going to naturally go into the formation that we want them in, which is going to be enveloping the opponent. But just for the sake of showing you, you're going to have, so we have like quite a few infantry. We might have like about 14 here, so we would have 2 healers with this composition. And then whenever you have a full line of infantry, you want mortars. So you want mortars stacked up, ready to go in the second row back here, because that means you're going to have infantry and mortars attacking your opponent. And then you're going to want to have a roar. So you're going to put this roar right in the middle here so that when you do the buff, the roar buff, all the units get that huge 25% stacking bonus damage. And that's an ideal army composition. Now this is going to grow as you get bigger and bigger. You're going to have so many more units than just this, but just to try to keep in mind like what the ideal is. That's kind of what you're aiming for. And yeah, so I think this is pretty much it for Risk. I'm just trying to think of if I left anything out. Oh, yes, rock, paper, scissors. Yes. Okay, so real quick, the rock, paper, scissors format is as follows. Tanks are just your heavy defensive shield, right? What takes down tanks are mortars. Mortars or other tanks will take down tanks. Anti-infantry, mortars, and these meat things called artillery. These guys will shred infantry to smithereens, especially the artillery. Infantry are just really good frontline units. Healers don't counter anything, they just help keep your guys alive. Knights and generals are really good at like harassing or getting behind the enemy line. If the enemy has a bunch of infantry and then they have a bunch of like mortars or like high value units like artillery in the back row, healers, roars, if you can get knights or generals in behind and snipe them off, that's really good. And actually there is one counter that I haven't talked about. Generals are actually countered by roar units, and the reason for that is when a roar unit shoots at an enemy, you'll see they have a little magic missile, and that missile can't be dodged. So my guy is just going to constantly take hits, whereas when he gets shot at an infantry unit, he can actually be dodged a little bit, but it's kind of like a heat-seeking missile. So, or maybe it can be dodged, but it's harder to dodge. But anyways, roars do counter generals. And then for ships, usually you would think like ships, all right, yeah, ships counter other ships, but one thing that is actually in this game that I don't think like many people know, you actually don't want to use mortars, okay? People might think, oh, I need something long range that can snipe a ship. You can use mortars just to be annoying and aggro, but they're not going to do a lot of damage. But these artillery guys will actually eat a ship's HP. Look at that, 2 shots and you already get quite a big chunk. This is going to be tanky, right? Like it takes a lot, but look, this is a good way to apply pressure onto SS ships from the land. And yeah, you know what? I hope that you all enjoyed this today. I did my best going through it. If you have any kind of questions, comments, things that you want to see added to the video, I'm down below. I'm in the comment section. I'm ready to answer. I'm ready to put up a video number 2 covering anything else that you may ask. And you know what? I'm just glad you stuck around. Thanks so much. Like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.